Okay, in this video we are going to be factoring sums and differences of cubes. So let's get started. So first of all, I want you to notice when we multiplied this product, a binomial times a trinomial, let's see what we get. So in order to do this, we're going to have to distribute the x in this binomial here times the trinomial, and then we'll distribute the 3. So let's go ahead and do that. So it's x times x squared, we're going to get x cubed. X times a minus 3x, we're going to get a minus 3x squared. And x times 9 is 9x. So now let's distribute the 3. 3 times x squared is 3x squared. Notice I could write across the way I was before, but I'm going to go ahead and combine or put my like terms in the same column. Next I'll do 3 times a minus 3x, that's a negative 9x, and 3 times 9, that's going to be 27. So when we go to combine this, notice we have opposites for our x squareds and for our x terms, and so all that's going to be left is the x cubed and the 27. Let's go ahead and put those a little closer, and so that's my answer. Now the answer we get here is what we call a sum of cubes. And of course sum is because of the addition, but notice x cubed is x times itself 3 times. It's a perfect cube. And 27 is 3 cubed, or 3 times 3 times 3. So one of the things that's important when you do these problems is you've got to be able to identify cubes, perfect cubes. So let's go ahead and look at that. So 1 cubed is 1, 2 cubed is 8, 3 cubed is 27, 4 cubed is 64, and 5 cubed is 125. And if you want, you can go back and check those. I'm just multiplying 3 2's, 3 3's, and so on. So these numbers on the right side are what we call cubes or perfect cubes. And keep in mind, x cubed would be considered a perfect cube as well. So let's go ahead and see how we're going to go backwards and factor these sums and differences of cubes. So we actually have two formulas. There's a formula for the sum of cubes, and there's a formula for the difference of cubes. Now, I'm not one that likes to memorize a lot of formulas, and if I can avoid it, I will. But I do want to show you that we can use a formula, but I'm going to show you a pattern that we can use instead. So let's look at how we would use the formula. Let's use the second one here. Notice x cubed minus 8 would be a difference of cubes. 8 is 2 cubed. So in this problem, our a would be x. And our b, well, let's see. We said 8 is 2 cubed, so if it's b cubed, then that means b here is 2. And so we just need to plug in the numbers now into the formula. So a is x. Notice the formula has a minus, just like we started with, a cubed minus b cubed. And then our b is 2. And then a squared, that would be x squared. AB would be 2x. Plus b squared, b would be, b is 2, so 2 squared, that's going to be 4. So we can use the formula just like I just did there, but I want you to notice something here. See, here's the thing. Notice that x to the third power gives you the x cubed. And 2 to the third power gives you 8. So I can find the x here by thinking what times itself gives me x cubed. What times itself 3 times, that would be x. And I can get the 2 here by asking myself what cubed gives me 8. And that would be, of course, 2. Now, once we have this part, it turns out we can generate this part using x minus 2 in this case. Notice the x squared here is just our x squared. And let's go ahead and look at the 4 here. That's just 2 squared. Or you could think of it even as negative 2 squared. The hardest one is the middle term, but notice it's just the product of these. Notice this is negative 2x when you multiply these two terms, but we have the opposite sign over here. And so that's the pattern that we're going to look for and that we're going to use to factor these. So let's go ahead and look at some examples. So if I want to factor x cubed plus 125, I know that I'm going to get a binomial times a trinomial just from experience. So I ask myself, what do I cube to get x cubed? Well, that's just x. And then I ask myself, what do I cube to get 125? Oh, I'm sorry, before I do that, I want to use the same sign, so it's going to be plus. If you look back at the formula, the signs will be the same for the first binomial. And then what do I cube to get 125? That would be 5. So again, you got to know your cubes. And then to get the other 3 terms in the trinomial, first I want to look at the x here, and I want to square that, and that's going to give me the first term. Let me erase this. Now, remember, we're going to need to multiply these two numbers to get our middle term. We get 5x here. And then we got to change the sign. So that's going to be minus 5x. So let me move this because it's going to get out in the way of the next problem. So this next part is going to be minus 5x. And then the last thing I want to do is look at this 5 here and square that, and that'll give me my last term, which is 25. And so there's your answer. Let's go ahead and do another one. So here, I'm going to have a binomial times a trinomial. So in my binomial, my first term, I'm asking myself, what cubed gives me a cubed? Well, that's just a. And what, well, sign's going to be negative, or subtraction. And then what cubed gives you 27? That would be 3. And then again, we're going to use this binomial to get our other 3 terms. So the first term of our trinomial is going to be found by cubing or squaring the a. Then we're going to multiply these numbers. We get a minus 3a, and use the opposite sign. That'll be our middle term. And then negative 3 squared, or 3 squared, we're going to get 9. We get plus 9 at the end. And so we're going to end up with a minus 3 times a squared plus 3a plus 9. You know what, let me go back and fix those marks real quick. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. That's all right. Let's go ahead and move on to the next page. All right, so I'd like you to go ahead and maybe stop the video and see if you can do these, and then I'll go ahead and you can watch the rest of the video. All right, so let's go ahead and do the same thing we were doing before. We're going to have a binomial times a trinomial. What do I cube to get m cubed? That would just be m. I'm going to have a plus sign for my sign there. What do I cube to get 64? That would be 4. And then I'm going to use this binomial to get the other part. So the first thing I want to do is square that m. So we're going to get m squared. Then we're going to multiply these and change the sign. So our middle term is going to be a minus 4m. And then for that last term, we're going to square the 4, and we get 16. And there's your answer. Now the last one's just a little bit different, but it's the exact same pattern. So again, we're expecting a binomial times a trinomial. We got to ask ourselves, what times itself gives us, or what cubed gives us 8x cubed? Well, 2 cubed gives us the 8, and x cubed will give us x cubed. So we're going to have 2x here. You could even write this as 2x cubed. That's equal to that 8x cubed. So 2x is what you cube to get 8x cubed. You're going to have a minus in the middle. What do you cube to get 27? That would be 3. Now we're going to square the 2x. Now be careful here. You're doing 2x squared. 2x times 2x, you're going to get 4x squared. And then let's go ahead and multiply these numbers. We're going to get a negative 6x. And we'll use the opposite sign. So we'll have a plus 6x in the middle. And then we're going to square that last number, the minus 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. And we're done. And that's going to be it for this video.